Hi, everybody. I am so delighted to be coming at you with our special guest this evening as part of our She is Fierce and Baptist for Her self-care guide collaboration. I am Kelly Youngs, the founder of She is Fierce. We are a global women's network that is based right here in North Florida. We have phenomenal women in our community who do all the things, which we're going to talk about tonight. And over the course of the last few weeks and all the way up until the week of Christmas, we are collaborating with Baptist for Her and some of their experts and physicians and some special guests like the lady that we have here with us tonight who are a part of their community and network. And I am so excited to have our special guest, Jenna Braddock, with me here tonight. So first of all, Jenna, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And can you say hi and introduce and let everybody know a little bit about yourself?
Yes, Kelly, it's so fun to be with you tonight. My name is Jenna Braddock. I am a registered dietitian and personal trainer here in Northeast Florida that has been a proud partner with the Baptist for Her program this year. And I work in nutrition counseling, consulting, and communications work. You can find me online at jennabraddock.com. and also on Instagram at Make Healthy Easy and Facebook as well.
Okay, so I am super excited about this conversation. But before we jump into all the things we're going to talk about tonight, I want to make sure to tell everybody who is watching this now, or we know we have literally thousands of people who watch this video over the course of the coming week. So if you are watching this now and you have not already signed up to get this guide and this fabulous recipe and all of the other wonderful things in your inbox, you can do so at the link that I think is above us right now. fiercehq.com/self-care. And throughout the course of that guide and throughout every single week, we have been talking about physical health, exercise, meditation, mental well-being and mental health. And tonight we are going to talk about something that I know is my downfall. And I'm excited to hear from a woman who is a nutritionist and an expert. And she's going to talk us through both a fabulous recipe that we can all use in our daily lives, but also some of the basic principles of focusing on what we put into our body. Right, Jenna?
Yeah, absolutely. And the holidays can often bring a lot of stress into our lives, not just in the busyness of what we're doing, but also in trying to navigate healthy eating or healthy lifestyle choices. And so I'm really about making that more easy, making healthy easy, which is my brand name, and simplifying some of those strategies. And then also just making people feel normal around those things. We're all dealing with these challenges that face us both in 2020 and this upcoming holiday season.
Yeah, that's such a perfect point. And I know when you and I connected months ago now, and we were talking about this guide, we were talking about just dealing with all of the things in the middle of a pandemic. And I know you are a mom of two. I am a mom of two. We both have businesses. There are so many women watching us that are leaders in their community, working every day in their company, going home with kids or going home as caregivers, and handling a lot of things. And I know for me, I'll just put myself out there, the thing that always falls by the wayside is focusing in and planning healthy nutrition. So not always making terrible choices, but not planning strategically. And I love your wisdom and your guidance in the guide about, not just knowing how to prepare healthy foods, but also thinking it out and really planning what you're going to do so that it's easy to make really good choices for ourselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I tell my clients a lot is don't just let food happen to you. Because if we do that in any time of our life, but especially at the holidays, a lot of foods that can really derail our energy and derail our overall wellness will just appear all of the time. So one of the things I want to encourage people is to be realistic and simple with their approach to wellness this holidays and healthy eating. So really set aside a little bit of time, just a little bit of time to plan a couple of meals in your week. I know it's not always feasible to eat at home, 6 or 7 nights a week. That sounds great, but that was called quarantine, right? And I think we're all okay with a little bit more busyness in our lives. But what is helpful is to just plan a couple of those meals ahead of time. And anytime I sit down to meal plan, it always feels laborious. I never want to do it. But man, am I so glad I spent that time on Saturday or Sunday when it comes to Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday in the week. So just trying to plan 1 or 2 meals can be a really helpful tool for you so that you don't just come home and you're stressed and tired and hungry and you just attack your cupboard or, you know, whatever the latest baked good is in front of you. So a little bit of planning can go such a long way when it comes to feeding our bodies well through the week.
Yeah. Okay, so I just love that. And I have to say that one of the things that has really stood out for me, we're almost, I think, about halfway through our weekly check-ins, although I'm sure we'll continue to do more. And one of the principles that has really stuck out with every single person that we have had, whether we're talking about mental wellness or we're talking about, you know, meditation principles, nutrition, exercise, whatever we're talking about, has been the importance of being a bit of a planner, right? Which is some people's natural place, and some people just struggle with it, or maybe are good in one area. They're a great planner for work or as a mom. Sure. But when, especially I think as women, when it comes to actually focusing on ourselves, that's when we say, oh, I'll just give it a pass, right?
Right,
so,
right.
Before we get started, and as we get started, and you jump into teaching us how to make a great healthy meal, we spoke earlier, and I loved a principle that you shared, which was the idea of not caffeinating, but instead fueling your body. So can you talk a little bit about that concept, but also just that principle about living your life in an attempt to fuel your days?
Right. So caffeine is a wonderful thing, right? I mean, we all know and love the benefits that caffeine gives us. And what it is a central nervous system stimulant. So it actually sends compounds into our brain that lock into our neurotransmitters and tell our brain, we are doing awesome. We are amazing, you know, and we can do it all. And that's really wonderful. But what the problem is that it's not actual fuel for the rest of our body to do whatever the next thing is well. So we need to be careful that you're not just caffeinating through the day, but that you're also fueling your body with strategic and strong meals and snacks throughout the day. And we're going to talk about a recipe next that not only turns into a beautiful, easy appetizer, but can also be a really powerful lunch or snack for you in your busy days as well. So I just want to encourage the ladies out there. I love my caffeine. I love my cup of coffee. I will rely on it in the midday from time to time when you really need it. But make sure that you're actually fueling your body with good, wholesome food, hydrating with water as well, and not just going from caffeine drink to caffeine drink to get you through the day.
Yeah, I love that principle. And I love that right now you're going to share, not just telling us, because sometimes I know what happens when somebody watches a Facebook video or, you know, takes a class, somebody tells them what they should do instead of how to do it. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how to actually do this as well, right?
Yeah,
so I'm going to follow along with you and jump in with questions. I hope that ladies at home will follow along or simply just save this video so they can come back and actually put this into practice. But you chose a great item that, as you said, it's good for the holidays, it's good for parties, it's good for just healthy snacks, and you can even have it for lunch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are making a healthy green hummus tonight. And the star of this show is using edamame or soybeans. And the reason why this is such a wonderful ingredient to incorporate in a recipe is not just is it festive, it's this beautiful green color. And we're going to highlight that with some additions of red on our platter. But edamame is stock full of protein. It has about 28 grams in a cup. And it's also a great source of fiber, having about 10 grams in a cup. And what those two nutrients do for us is, first of all, protein helps satiate us. So it helps us feel satisfied with our meals and actually can sustain that feeling longer. And what that means, especially at the holidays, is that we don't go into all these festive situations being hangry. just whatever is there, I want to eat it. So it's really satiating for that. And then the fiber also does that same thing. It helps keep us full longer. And then it also helps sustain our energy for longer periods of time. So there's so much amazing power coming from this wonderful soybean or edamame. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to choose it for this. So we have a finished product here. So I just want you to see what we're going for. I know there's a little bit of a glare, but here's our finished product. But this is so easy. You can keep all of these ingredients in your fridge and freezer and just be ready to make this on a whim.
Yes, and what I want to say is everyone's going to watch you as the expert, and then they're going to watch me try to measure this out and actually make this happen. So we can, follow the two different paths, but go for it and get us started, and I'm going to get all my pieces ready.
Okay, awesome. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is just the equipment that you'll need here. So I'm going to make this in a food processor. Now I have a nice big, I think this is a 12-cup one because I cook a lot and do a lot of recipes. So this is what I have. You can use a smaller food processor if you have them, and you can also use a blender for this as well. You do want kind of a good high-powered blender, but something like a NutriBullet would work really well here too. So try either one of those pieces of equipment, but we want to try to get a nice creamy texture, and having a good powerful motor for whichever avenue you take is really important. So the first thing we're going to start with, and there we go, my recipe just went blank on me, is shelled edamame. Okay, so this is a frozen product. You'll find this in the frozen vegetables section, and it is a 12-ounce bag, and we're going to use this whole thing in our recipe. So this is already shelled, which saves us major time. You don't want to buy in the pods, and you just want to defrost this. So you can either throw it in the refrigerator the day before, or you can actually microwave it to heat it up. So we don't want them frozen, make sure they're defrosted. But this is such an easy product. It's not very expensive either. That's another thing I like. Every once in a while, you'll find canned edamame. That works just as well too. Just make sure you drain it. Okay, so our 12 ounces of edamame, this is going in first in our food processor. That is up next.
I'm putting it in.
Perfect. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is add our liquids. Now, traditional hummuses are made with a lot of olive oil, which is a heart healthy oil, so it's not like we're intimidated by that. But edamame is a little coarser than the chickpeas we traditionally use, so we need a lot of liquid or a lot of olive oil in here. And so in order to kind of keep our calories at a more moderate level, I'm going to use some coconut milk for our liquid. And this is canned light coconut milk, so it cuts our calories down just a little bit as well and really contributes a nice creamy texture in this. We have half a cup of light coconut milk going in the food processor here. All right, you with me?
I want to say I'm super excited because I'm seeing that the items that I bought at random were the same items that you have. So
perfect.
I will taste the same, and I will let you know if it, tastes as amazing as it sounds, which I'm sure it will.
Perfect. Well, that is kind of the nice thing about this recipe here, and you say that, is the products we're using kind of only come in one brand.
Yeah,
So there's not a lot of choice there, so that's good. All right, the next thing we're going to add is some lemon juice, okay? And I'm spoiled. I actually have a lemon tree, so I pulled these off my lemon tree yesterday. But fresh lemon juice, I think, makes a big difference here. You can buy the little bottle of it. That's fine, but I really like to use fresh. And we're going for 4 tablespoons. So this is going to add a nice acidity to the background flavors of this and really make it a nice bright dip. So I'm going to use both halves of a full large lemon here. And that's a little unprecise, but ultimately we're going for about 4 tablespoons or 1/4 a cup.
So I don't know if anybody watching is like me, but I just estimate.
Yeah, that's fine.
As an expert, you have to tell us, does that matter?
In this kind of recipe, I don't think that matters so much. You can really make this to taste to the way you want it. So if you love lemon, go for it. If you love the basil, go for it. You can add all the spices that you want. It's totally up to you. The nice factor. All right, so we are going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. I personally love the flavor of it. And it does give us a nice little shot of healthy fat in here. So we're just going to do 1 tablespoon. I am going to Rachel Ray this, but please measure at home. Just 1 tablespoon is what we're going for here. All right. Now, the last few things we're going to do is season this. And the first thing we're going to do is add fresh basil. Now, I played with a couple of different fresh herbs for this, but this basil to me tastes amazing. It just makes this a very interesting, unique flavored dip that gives you a nice surprise and makes it feel special. So we're doing 2 tablespoons of just a roughly chopped fresh basil. Again, you can add more if you really want a lot of good basil, but that's a sweet basil that we're putting in there.
Well, I just want to say for everybody that is watching this that it smells amazing right now.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
That's always a bonus. Always a bonus with a recipe. Okay, then the last things, which I've kind of cheated and put all 3 of our seasonings in here together, is we're doing 1 clove of fresh garlic. If you're not a big fan of garlic, you can totally leave it out. I love garlic, so throw that bad boy in there. And then we're going to season with 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Kosher salt is my preferred flavor. And then 1/2 teaspoon of a smoked paprika. So I know I'm a little far away. You can't see this. This is a McCormick spice. There is a little bit of a difference between regular paprika and smoked paprika. So smoked paprika, as the name infers, is smoked and has this nice, like, deep flavor to it. The reason why I love this spice, and I actually use it in a lot of cooking, is I had the privilege of going to Hungary in January before travel shut down across the world, and they're very much known for their smoked sweet paprika. So while I brought some authentic back from that, you can easily find this in your grocery store.
It's not authentic. But just very quickly before you go on, I want to first of all say hi to everybody that is saying hi to us in the comments. And I also want to make sure, we had somebody ask this question, will you be posting the recipe? So there are a few places you can get the recipe. The first one and the easiest one is to actually sign up for the self-care guide. That link is right above your comments. And it's sheisfiercehq.com/self-care. And then of course, Jenna, you also have this on your website, right?
Right, absolutely. If you go to jennabraddock.com, it's the first post up there, or you can search for hummus and you'll see the green hummus up there as well.
Perfect. So go to Jenna's website and check it out. And then also don't forget to sign up for the self-care guide so that you will get this recipe and all kinds of other great wisdom. You get to meet other amazing women like Jenna over the course of the next few weeks. Okay, sorry.
No problem. Absolutely. We're so glad you guys are here. I don't have my comments up in front of me. I have the wrong tab open and it's a little far away, so I apologize. I can't see that. All right, so our spices are going in now. That's the smoked paprika and the salt. So make sure it all gets in there. And ladies, that's it. That's all we have in there. And so I do not like complicated cooking. I'm not here for that. I like simple, but I do like using a few interesting flavors that make food feel special and also really elevates healthy plant-forward food. And so that's why I like using the fresh basil, the fresh lemon, and then that smoked paprika. I think just some really simple elements can elevate your recipe. So that's it. That's all that's going in here. I'm going to put the lid on this guy, and I'm going to blend this and puree it for a good little bit, like a minute to 2 minutes. Okay, so dance break, everyone, while I do this. Everybody dance while you're blending. And really, we're just trying to break down that edamame so you get a really nice smooth texture here. And you want to maybe stop it halfway through and just scrape down the sides, make sure everything's getting in there. Oh, I poked my blade there. Okay, it's looking fantastic. Almost there. Dance break number 2. That's what I like to do when I have to wait for things. Or you can take a snack break if you're more traditional.
Well, and I know you had your kids in there earlier, so normally you might have kids that need things.
Do you like it?
Going
Keeping
on.
them out of the way. I love my children, and they love
We all love them. Okay, we all love
All right, so this is looking great. Once you can't see any of those individual ingredients anymore, you're ready to rumble. So let's talk about what we do with this. Now, first of all, this has a really delicious creamy texture to it. And for a quick and healthy lunch, I can see this just plopping right on top of like a salad. Because again, remember, this is full of protein and fiber. It would also be delicious in a wrap or sandwich that you can add more veggies or your favorite meat or cheese to that. That would be delicious. If you're really hurting for time, ladies, if you just dip your pita chip or your whole grain pita in here, all your veggies and protein are already in here. Like, it's a total nutrition hack, this nice little recipe. And then it's also a great snack as well. So you can take some with you, some fresh veggies to dip in the afternoon. But when it comes to a party, all you have to do is throw this bad boy onto a platter. And I know there's a little bit of a glare, so bear with, but it becomes really festive when you add red peppers. These are little mini red peppers that I cut in half. I have some red radishes cut into thin slices that you can dip. And then also some pita chips here because I just love crunch. And this gives us a really beautiful, easy platter. And everybody wins on this kind of thing.
I love that. I feel like this is going to be some women's recipe that they take to all the well, hopefully we'll have some parties this year. But
I know, you're small COVID content
as their own, Jenna, but I know you won't mind.
Yes, yeah. The other thing you can do is even take this up a notch again, not with a lot of work though, and a couple of hacks to make a nice crostini. So I love a good crostini, which means a little toasted bread with something creamy and salty on top. So a nice little hack here is to just use some bagel chips. Let's see if I can get that without a glare. So these are just the...
I got the little crostini that you had in the picture too.
Perfect. So these are already toasted. They don't really get soggy, which is really nice. So you don't even have to go through the toasting of a bread process. And they're these perfect little finger 2-bite breads here. So all we're going to do here is take some of this dip we just made and smear it on top. So let me just do a couple of these. And then we're going to take it up a notch once again with something real festive. So I have some jarred roasted red peppers here. You'd find this in like the pickle aisle. There's only a couple of brands, so they've been fire roasted. They have this delicious flavor. They usually come out as like a whole red pepper. Just chop this up into little tiny bites, and we're going to put just a little sprinkle of this chopped red pepper on top. So once again, there's our festive red and green color. And then lastly, we're going to top it with a little feta. So we have red, green, and white. I mean, I'm a little cheesy when it comes to holiday stuff.
You're ready for Christmas.
I know. We were just talking. Literally, as I was getting ready for this, I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and put up my Christmas decorations because it's 2020 and we need it. And so aside from real feta cheese, this appetizer, this dip, whatever version you go with, is 100% vegan, which that's the kind of thing where I'm like, keep it on the DL. Unless you have vegan people in your life or you are in fact vegan and you have something delicious that no one's really going to even care or know that it's vegan. And then there's also some really nice vegan feta cheese options. I've had one recently. I was so surprised. It tastes just like feta. So you can keep this completely plant-based if that's something you need or want. And so we have this beautiful, I'm going to come up to the camera. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can show this to the crowd. And if you go to the...
Oh, yes, it looks beautiful.
Can you see that? Red, green, and white. It's time to celebrate, ladies.
I want everyone to know they can see where I stopped because mine might not end up looking like yours on the first try.
Yeah, so we got crunchy, smooth, creamy, soft, sweet.
We can all kind of get this principle and get this process down.
Yeah, so it's a make once, enjoy in multiple ways, which again, I love super simple cooking that does that. And there's this homemade element to it that took, I don't know, how long did that take? Less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it gives us something really delicious, something really filling and festive and nutritious all in one. So it's kind of like the perfect package.
It is the perfect package. So I'm so grateful to you for walking us through that. That was fun. It was fun for me. I have all my things. I'm going to go and blend this when we're done so I can eat it. But now, as we kind of have been talking through the process, one of the things that stood out for me that you talked about were, as you said earlier, planning out what you're going to do throughout the week, thinking about meals that you might be able to use in different scenarios. And then, of course, you talked about keeping protein, having fiber in your diet, and also the principle of having as many plant-based items as possible. So do you want to talk a little bit about why that's important and why even people who are not vegans and maybe are not vegetarians want to incorporate that more into our daily lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually just did a TV segment on First Coast Living this week about plant-forward holiday eating. And one of the points I made at the beginning was that a lot of people think that being plant-based in your eating is an all or nothing. I mean, it's either all I do or nothing I do, and that it's a boring way to eat. And I hope, first of all, this has shown you it's definitely not boring. But I also want to encourage people eating plant-based, or I really like the term plant-forward, doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to be, quote, vegan to enjoy a plant-forward diet. And all we're trying to encourage is just thinking about the plants as the center stage for our meals and snacks, and then bringing in the protein as kind of the side addition, the sidecar, if you will. And so the other thing that's important to remember is plants are not just vegetables. They're fruits, they're whole grains, they're beans, they're nuts, they're seeds. So there's lots of options here within plant-based eating. And the reason why it's important is because it's connected to a reduced risk of many types of chronic diseases and has some strong connections to the Mediterranean style diet, which is one of the most researched approaches to eating. That has a really strong connection to health and longevity. So this is just kind of a rethinking what we bring to our holiday tables as, wow, can I think about bringing plants first, but it has to be delicious, right? Because the market research continues to show that people will purchase food and eat food according to taste first. And that is something I can never forget as a dietitian, and as an eater, I can certainly subscribe to that. It's got to taste good. And then really think about how can we bring in more plants within our foods and still have the protein there. It's totally fine to do that, but it's just in a more mindful or conscious way.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And I want to touch on the last thing that you said, which is we're all dealing with all the things 2020. We are coming into the holidays. We are, preparing to have our kids back home again if they have gone back to school, or for some people, they're still at home and all the work and all the other things. So with that in mind, what is your recommendation for mindful eating? So we talked about planning, but what about just mindful eating? So, for example, somebody is super busy during the day. They know they have to go pick up their kids. They have to take them to their sports activity, and they still have work to get done later. And maybe they don't have the plan in place, which hopefully they will. What are your suggestions for being intentional and being mindful in your day-to-day, just moments of hunger, as you mentioned before, right? So what are the things you recommend for women who are like, this all sounds great and I subscribe to it, but
yeah, let's get the dog out of the way. She's a little sassy here.
That's okay, it's your life,
Right, I'm just in her space. Yeah, so that's a great point, Kelly, is that we all have good intentions, right? Nobody wants to be eating, M&Ms at 1:00 in the afternoon and be like, I'm just so hungry, Yeah. So first, I think it's important to just have grace for ourselves. Like as women and as moms or spouses or family members, we're carrying a lot on our plate. So reality check, we're going to fumble something, And so every once in a while, or, the day in and day out, you might fumble your nutrition a little bit, and that's okay, and it's normal. Let's have grace for ourselves. But I think the most important thing for people to ask is that impacting my energy and me showing up as my best self? Because to me, that connection to that real deep purpose is so much more powerful of a motivator to stop and eat something than just, oh, I should probably have a salad. That sounds so boring, but I'll do it, you know? So just really connecting to me being my best is connected and rooted in me feeding my body as well. So that's the first thing. And then I really want to encourage the ladies out there, don't neglect your healthy snacks. And right now it may come in a package or a bag because we're in a hurry, and like, don't beat yourself up over that. There's a lot of really healthy, nutritious whole foods that come in packages and bags that will get us through this holiday season. You know, it's better to have those as a safety net than to be constantly going through, you know, the drive-through, getting the latest holiday cake pop at Starbucks, which I have personally been guilty of. You know, I want to see what's the next shape.
It makes me feel good to hear that.
Yeah, those Fox ones this fall, they were very cute and very tasty.
I haven't tried a cake pop in a long time. I can't say I've tried that, but I fully embrace the holiday spirit. So, but I love what you're sharing about planning, being intentional in what we're cooking, and then of course being mindful and being, you know, one of the things that I kind of took away from what you said was, you know, being mindful in what you're putting into your body every moment, but also listening to your body, right? So recognizing if you're eating the wrong thing, you might have an energy dip and you might not be at your best. And so we're kind of supporting ourselves, as you said earlier, by fueling our energy throughout the day.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So as we wrap up, I want to ask you, I know you have so much wisdom around nutrition and wellness. Are there any last thought that you have as women are coming into the holidays, as they are planning, you know, the day, the week, and the couple of months ahead, that you would love for women to walk away with and think, this, you know, put me in the right mindset, or this is a little tool I can put in my tool belt?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So 2020 has been a hell of a year, right? And so there's nothing more exciting to me, and maybe to the women out there, than to like kick back and just have a glorious festive holiday season with all the foods and drinks that come our way. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. Like, that's satisfying. It fills our soul and our heart, and gosh darn it, we just need some joy in our life, right? What I wanna just put a little word of wisdom out there for women is to be careful to not use all those things to help you recover from the negative circumstances you've experienced this year. When you do enjoy them with a mindfulness and a full presence in those experiences. And then the other thing I would encourage you to do is, again, just a moment of thinking ahead and prioritize the events and the foods that are most meaningful for you. So what I mean is, say you happen to be in an office environment or any sort of environment where people are bringing food for a holiday potluck. You know, if it's a food you've tasted 100 times or something that's not necessarily your favorite, but you'd certainly eat it, making a mindful choice to say, you know what, maybe I'm going to pass on that because it's just not really my favorite, because I'd really love to enjoy this food, this beverage later at this event. So thinking of this concept of prioritization of things that are most important to you, most enjoyable, be fully present with those. And then deprioritize the other foods and drinks or events that you might just happen upon that aren't as meaningful, or maybe the food's just kind of, okay, it's normal stuff you can get from the grocery store. And put a little bit of thought into that, and bring an item like we talked about here today with this edamame dip, so you know you have a nutritious, delicious option as well.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. That's a great message to send us out on, both practical and meaningful. So thank you so much, Jenna. It has been such a pleasure. I love getting the chance to talk to you. I'm going to go blend up my edamame and eat this. And of course, I want to make sure that everybody that's watching knows you can go to jennabraddock.com to get to know Jenna better. You can download this phenomenal self-care guide. It's a collaboration between us at She Is Fierce and the phenomenal team at Baptist for Her. And that is at sheisfiercehq.com. /self-care. And I want to let you know that as a part of this and all the things we have going on, we also have a fabulous gratitude challenge coming up, which fits perfectly with all of the mindfulness and all of the conversations that we've been having over the course of the last couple weeks. So if you are already doing the self-care guide and following along with us each week and you want to join us in that, we will also share and talk about some of that next week and over the coming weeks as we come into Thanksgiving. So Jenna, thank you again. Ladies, everybody who watches this now and everybody who will join us and watch us later, thank you to Jenna for being here. And also don't forget that you can always tag us. So if you watch this later and you have a question, you are welcome to tag Jenna, tag me, or the Baptist for Her or She is Fierce teams, and we will make sure to answer your questions. So thank you, Jenna. I will see you very soon.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Bye, everybody.